Well, here we are, everyone. Day 31 of the Gita Collective's study of the Bhagavad-gītā. Reading the whole thing, concluding today with chapter 18, texts 56 through 78. It has been a wonderful ride with all of you, and maybe I'll share some thoughts at the end. But why don't we get right into it? We ended yesterday we were saying that Kṛṣṇa, he's always been comparing different paths, different dharmas throughout the Bhagavad-gītā. And he spoke again about how one who becomes a sannyasi, walks away from the world, lives this very simple, secluded life, austere life, how they can rise up to the platform of Brahman realization, Brahma Bhuta, Prasanatma, that they can let go of all of their worldly attachments, and by doing so, they can become Prasanatma, right down to the soul. They can become very happy. He says, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, na sochati, na kankshati. This person, they're no longer desiring this, lamenting about that. Samasarveshu bhuteshu, they see all living entities equally. And then he says, Mad bhaktim labate param. In that state, they can attain pure devotional service for me. They can develop bhakti for me. So always with all of these paths that Kṛṣṇa has been presenting throughout the Bhagavad-gītā, sometimes when people hear about the different paths in the Vedic tradition, in Vedanta, they think, yeah, you can just choose one of these paths and they can, in one sense, they all go to one place. And in one sense, that's true. But what they don't realize is Kṛṣṇa is saying that if you understand it correctly, you'll understand that it's leading to me. So here again, every time he's giving these different paths, he's showing how they're meant to come to him. And then he'll always show, but you don't need to do this difficult, austere path, which most people will fail at, which in many ways will, unless you really have the qualification, will likely be artificial on some level. Rather, what you can do and anyone can do is you can surrender to me, always think of me, do whatever you do as an offering unto me. And so now we're going to hear about that. And from here on out, he just mentioned bhakti, achieving it as a sannyasi. Now, but he's going to say, but Arjuna, what I want you to do is I want you to do your duty in this world. Do all your activities, but do them in consciousness of me. This is the message of the Bhagavad-gītā, right? His message to Arjuna was, Arjuna, do your prescribed duty, your own duty that's suitable to your nature. Do it with knowledge. So when you're doing it with knowledge, you know I'm not doing it for any superficial materialistic reason. And so therefore you do it with detachment. And then also do it as an offering unto me. Do it in consciousness of me, always thinking of me. Do it with love for me. And in this way you become the greatest yogi of all. So let's read what he says. Text 55, another famous verse. That 54 was a famous verse. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma na sochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. And then text 55, bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tatpataha tato mam tatpato gyatva vishate tadanantaram. One can understand me as I am, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by bhakti, by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. He can transcend this world and enter into the spirit, out of the virtual reality, into the spiritual reality, into full, loving, eternal pastimes of Kṛṣṇa. Now listen to this. Just to put to rest for one time, finally and all. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, Arjuna, right? All kinds of activities, whatever, battling on the battlefield, family life, whatever it may be. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my pure devotee, under my protection, right? This isn't a yogi that's just trying to do it all by their own power, all by their own renunciation, all by their own austerity. No. my pure devotee under my protection, although they're engaged in all kinds of activities in this world, messy activities in this world, problematic activities of this world, entangling activities of this world, when my devotee does it under my protection, they reach the eternal, imperishable abode by my grace. They reach that eternal place. They reach that imperishable place. All the things that the Vedas talk about Brahman being, they achieve it. Now listen, here's the formula, text 57. In all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me, right? If you have me in your heart, if you're always conscious of me, if you're seeing me, we've heard chapter after chapter, especially those middle 6 chapters, about how to see Kṛṣṇa everywhere, how to see him wherever we see something glorious or wonderful, how to see him in the earth, the water, the fire, the air, the ether, how to see him behind everything, working behind everything, how to understand that he's in your heart. He's the light of the sun, the light of the moon, the food that you eat, the fire of digestion that you have. In everything, I'm there. There should be nothing, nowhere where you can turn where you don't see me. So be fully conscious of me. And what happens if you're fully conscious of me? Text 58, beautiful verse. Machchata sarvadurgani, right? Mat prasada tarisyasi. Machchata, if you become conscious of me, sarvadurgani, all the difficult, troublesome things in life, sarva, all durgani, all that difficult, troublesome obstacles in life. Mat prasada, by my grace, tarisyasi, you will pass over them, right? There's the promise, right? If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of condition life by my grace. He doesn't say that there will be no obstacles, but he says that if you're conscious of me, you will pass through them by my grace, right? You'll grow through them, right? They will reveal more and more to you. You'll actually turn around and be glad that you went through them, right? Then he contrasts it. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness of me, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Now we're getting the mental platform, right? If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction. But compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. This is, should I do this? Should I do that? Maybe I'm this. Maybe I should do that. Maybe. Always this mental platform. And the mind's been programmed to seek comfort, to seek material pleasure. As long as you're acting on that, and now he's thinking, oh, I can walk away from this battlefield because I want to be big yogi? No, it's because you want to avoid the conflict that you have to face, right? The duty that you have to perform. No, face that duty, but do it in consciousness of me. But if you act on the mental platform, not only are you going to be lost, your nature is to fight in any case, Arjuna. And that nature is going to pull you back there. So when you go and try to sit silently out in the forest, you're still going to be pulled back to it. So he's saying, just hear from me, right? Now he's given this message, powerful, strong message. Get off the mental platform, right? Stop being controlled by all the programming in your mind. Be able to look at your mind as a witness, see what it is, right? Not be ruled by it, not be confused by it. And then go within to God within the heart. This is not just a sweet kind of cutesy or new age kind of thing. This is very real. God is in the heart of every living being. That's been repeated again and again and again. It's not something that's irrelevant to us. It's something that's incredibly relevant to us. He's saying, get off that mental platform. Get onto the platform of connecting to God with your heart. If you want to hear him, he'll speak to you. Krishna is saying, if you want, I'm with you at every moment, capable of giving you the perfect directions that you need to get through life. But you have to really want to hear it. So he says in text 61, famous verse, the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. He's directing everyone. And then text 62, O sign of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain the transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. It's all there for you. I will speak to you in your heart if you really want that direction. How many of us do that? How many of us speak to God in the heart? How many of us try to hear God in the heart? In order to do that, you have to set aside your attachments. You have to set all that aside. Otherwise, the attachments in the mind that voice will speak to you, and you'll see that movie running, and you'll hear those voices speaking. You have to be able to say, I'm not controlled by you any longer. I want to go to that voice within myself, right? When we practice neglecting the dictations of the mind, getting off the mental platform, going within, it will speak to us, and Krishna is promising that. Now, when we come to the conclusion of the Bhagavad-gītā, these are some very special verses 63 through 66. We're going to hear the conclusion of the Bhagavad-gītā. And the conclusion of the Bhagavad-gītā is framed in the context of Krishna's love, right? When he's finally giving that big message that has to be heard, the conclusive message, he's going to frame it by expressing to Arjuna just how dearly he loves him. These are verses that are worth reading and contemplating every day if we want to understand the nature of our relationship with God, the nature of God's relationship with us, and the ultimate spiritual teachings of Vedanta. It's all right here. Okay. You ready? Let's do this. Text 63. Krishna says to Arjuna, "Thus, I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do." This is the kind of teacher that Krishna is. He's not pushy. He's not insisting or commanding Arjuna to do anything. This isn't a God that says, I command you to do the following. He's explaining how the world works. He's explaining, here are the different actions you can do, and here are the different results. You choose what you want to do. Think about it carefully, right? If you need me to explain it again, I'll explain it again to you. Think about this carefully, deliberate it fully, weigh the consequences to your actions. You put your faith in me to explain it to you. I've explained it to you as it is. Now you deliberate on this fully, and then you do what you wish to do, Arjuna. And then he says, text 64. Oh, it's all so nice. Sarvaguyatamam bhuya. This greatest secret of all, the Sarvaguyatamam, I'm going to tell it to you, bhuyaha, again. Right? I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to bring it back and teach it again. Right? Shrinu me paramam vachaha. Please hear my supreme instruction. Many different types of dharmas have been spoken about in the Bhagavad-gītā. Hear the supreme one now. Now I'm going to tell you the supreme one. He's saying that, right? Many times people interpret the Bhagavad-gītā as all these different yoga paths and dharmas are there, and you choose the one that's right for you. No, he's laying them all out so that we can compare them. And then he's saying it, and then at the end, he's saying, now I'm going to tell you the supreme instruction. Okay? Ishtosi me dridham iti, because you are so very dear to me, Arjuna. Tato vakshami te hitam. I'm speaking this for your benefit. Right? I don't need you to surrender to me. I don't need you to bow down to me. You've already seen that the whole universes are coming from my body. I'm speaking this because I care about you, because you're so dear to me. I'm going to speak this for your benefit. It's the greatest of all secrets. I'm going to say it again. Please hear this supreme instruction. And then he repeats what he spoke back in the at the end of chapter 9. Manmana, think of me, right? Always think of me. Bhava mad bhakto, become my devotee. Madhyaji, my worshipper. Mam namaskaru, and offer your obeisances unto me. Mam evasyas, certainly you will come to me. Satyam, truly. Te pratijane, I promise this to you. Priyosi me, because you're my very, very dear friend. Right? This is the instruction. This is the yoga that he's asking to do. Always have me on your mind. See me everywhere. Become my devotee. and you will come to me. I'm all attractive. If you just get your mind stuck from in between your soul and me, like a magnet, you'll connect to me. Surely you will come to me. And then this is finally the conclusive verse, 1866. Sarva dharmam parityaja, mam ekam sharanam vraja, aham tvam sarva papebhyo, moksha yasyami ma sucha. Right? Abandon all varieties of religion. Sarva dharmam, all the different dharmas I've been speaking about, parityaja, throw them all out the door. Okay? I've been going on and on every chapter, talking about different types of dharma. You can throw them all out. And then I'm going to give you one instruction, the supreme instruction. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Just come to me for your shelter. Right? Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. Don't worry that you will incur some kind of sinful reaction or something like that. I will take care of this all. Moksha yasyami. Ma sucha. I will deliver you. Ma sucha. There's no need for you to worry. Now remember where we started on day one. What was the theme of chapter 1? Anxiety, right? Arjuna was worried about this. Arjuna was worried about that. He was worried about so many things. Now he's saying you have nothing to worry about. When you take shelter in me, I will personally care for you. I will personally deliver you. I will personally give you moksha. I will free you from all of your material entanglement. Do not fear this at all, Arjuna. Now let's go to this first part of this. Sarva dharmam parityaja. All of the dharma, give it up. I thought the Bhagavad-gītā was teaching dharma, right? Mam ekam sharanam vraja, and just come to me. Now this is the thing. Now let's do a bit of review here, right? I want you to understand when he says sarva dharma parityaja, what he's referring to. The topic is dharma. Kṛṣṇa has said so many things about dharma. Chapter 1 started with him talking about kula dharma. This was the term that Arjuna used, right? Duties that are related to family. You could call it grihastha dharma, or more broadly, ashrama dharma, right? That we need to be good parents. We need to be good mothers and good fathers, good husbands and wives, right? This kula dharma. Arjuna was worried that if I do this fight, this isn't going to be good for kula dharma. All the men, all the husbands, all the fathers will die on the battlefield. He was very concerned about kula dharma. And in text 231, he spoke of svadharma. Kṛṣṇa spoke of svadharma. Arjuna, you have a specially prescribed duty, your kshatriya dharma, which is in the broader category of your varna dharma, right? So there's this ashram as a father and a husband. He also had his varna dharma in terms of him being a warrior, kshatriya. He was telling Arjuna, you should do your kshatriya dharma. There's a consideration of kshatriya dharma there. Then when we got to text 239, the dharma talk began to switch to nishkama karma yoga. Here's a practice, here's a path, or buddhi yoga, right? And he continued that in chapter 3, speaking of karma yoga in comparison with karma sannyasa, with giving up one's activities, right? All of these are different dharmas, different paths, different practices, spiritual practices. In text 425 through 29, he spoke of yagna, right? Yagna, sacrifice to the demigods. He spoke of doing homas. He spoke of practicing brahmacharya, celibate student life. He spoke about pranayama, all different types of breath control. He spoke of vows of charity, austerities, visiting holy places, studying the Vedas, fasting, all different dharmas, right? In chapter 5, he was comparing karma yoga with karma sannyasa, two different ways of practicing dharma, right? In text 6, he gave this extensive description of meditative yoga or dhyana yoga, what we might call ashtanga yoga. And towards the end of chapter 6, he compares that with tapasya. He compares that with fruitive work. He compares both of those with yoga, and then he begins to compare different types of yoga. And he says, of all the yogas, yoginam api sarvesham, that the one that's practicing bhakti is the greatest yogi of all, the most connected with him in yoga. In chapter 7, we heard comparisons of bhakti, which is a dharma, with both those who conceive of the demigods as supreme and those who consider the non-personal Brahman to be supreme. In chapter 8, we heard about a mystic yogi who can exit their body at will and ascend to the higher planets. And then that was compared with bhakti. In chapter 9, we heard about those that think themselves to be one with God in all respects. We heard about those that worship the Devas again, and hear at length about what Kṛṣṇa thought of that Dharma. And we also heard it was mentioned those who worship the universal form. 3 different paths, people that don't worship him directly take. In chapter 10, we heard an elaboration as Kṛṣṇa as the object of Dharma. In chapter 11, it established Kṛṣṇa as the Paramatma, the source of the entire universe. In chapter 12, Kṛṣṇa directly compared those who worship the impersonal Brahman with those who have Kṛṣṇa devotion, comparing 2 different dharmas. And then he goes down a list of different ways that one can practice bhakti on whatever level that you're at. In chapter 13, we heard about the 4 paths of yoga, essentially dhyana, sankhya, karma, and shruti parayana, those inclined to hearing, which is essentially the 4 paths of yoga. In chapter 14, he identified bhakti as the path for transcending the gunas, and he established himself as the basis of the Brahman, which is so essential for many people's path. In chapter 15, he again established himself as the Paramatma, the Purushottama, the greatest of all persons. And he mentioned that full-hearted devotion to him as being the greatest secret of all the scriptures, with the greatest dharma. In chapter 16, he spoke of those that are averse to him and how they practice yagnas in name only and out of pride, another way of sort of adharmically doing kind of like some show of dharma. In chapter 17, he spoke about sacrifice, penance, and charity, all different dharmas, and how all of it is false if it's not done as an offering unto the Supreme. And then finally in chapter 18, it began with study of 2 different dharmas, internal renunciation, tyaga, as opposed to external renunciation, sannyasa. Then we heard about varna dharma in detail, what the brahmanas do, what the kshatriyas do, what the vaishyas do, what the shudras do, what their dharmas are. Then we heard about Brahman realization, which we started with. Now we heard about Paramatma realization. And it's finally going to conclude with Brahman realization, with full bhakti Kṛṣṇa devotion. So the Gita has explained so many different religious or yogic or spiritual duties or paths, dharmas, that sustain righteous living and ultimately liberation or moksha. And therefore they're all understood as dharma. And again, some people interpret all of these teachings as if the Bhagavad-gītā is suggesting that it doesn't matter which one you use, just choose which one appeals to you the most. But Kṛṣṇa, what he's really doing is he's explaining higher and lower paths in order to help Arjuna discern one from the other and make the wisest choice that he can make. And it all ends with Kṛṣṇa saying, there's one choice, mam ekam, come to me, surrender unto me, and mas suchaha, don't worry about any of the other dharmas, sarva dharma parityaja, right? Where the Bhagavad-gītā leaves off, the Srimad Bhagavatam picks up with the first statement coming from Sutta Goswami, where he says, Savai Pungsa, for all humanity, Paro Dharma, the highest Dharma, the one Dharma, Yato Bhakti Ridhoksaje, right? Is bhakti offered to the Supreme Lord, unmotivated and uninterrupted. This is what completely satisfies the self. And then the Gita is helping us choose what is the best path, right? And ultimately it's Kṛṣṇa Bhakti. What is the fullest path, the complete path, the path that includes all the other paths within it? We heard Krishna tell us that there's no truth superior to him. We heard him say that by practicing bhakti, you achieve the results of all of the others. We've heard so many things, and now we've heard that it's the most confidential knowledge to know him, that when you know him, you know everything, that when you surrender unto him with a full heart full of bhakti, you've achieved the highest, most secret thing in all of Vedanta. And now we've heard him say, this is the supreme teaching, this is the supreme secret, this is my supreme vacha, my supreme, the topmost thing that I have to say is, don't worry about all those other dharmas, just surrender unto me. That's it. It's clear. It's incessantly said. It's repeatedly said. It's said from the left, from the right, from the bottom, from the top, from the east, from the west, from the north, from the south. In so many ways, the Bhagavad-gītā is again and again bringing us to the point of surrender unto Kṛṣṇa. Practice bhakti yoga. Always remember him. you will be protected in all your duties of life, and you will return to him. Okay, now the conclusion. It ends with a beautiful series of verses. Kṛṣṇa says, this confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. They will never understand it. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end, he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. He's saying how this conversation that Kṛṣṇa had, remember if we go back earlier in the Gita chapter 4, he was saying that this knowledge is handed down in the Guru Parampara, but in the course of time, it gets lost. He's reestablishing this most important knowledge in this small book, relatively 700 verses. All right? And it's so sacred and so beautiful. He's saying it's the message itself is so dear to him, and anyone that shares it becomes very, very dear to him. Then he says, I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me with his intelligence. Right? The very act of reading it and studying it is worshiping him. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from all bad karma, all sinful reactions, and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? Are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? Remember where he was at the beginning. Oh, Arjuna was in such a mess. He was breaking down. He was in anxiety. He was suffering so much. He was crying. His voice was shaking. He could barely speak. Right? Is your ignorance and illusion all now dispelled, Arjuna? Tell me. Arjuna said, my dear Kṛṣṇa, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instructions. This is clarity. This is freedom. This is moksha. His illusion is gone, right? He says, now my illusion is gone. He's in a state liberated from the influence of illusion. But you'll notice, Kṛṣṇa doesn't then say, well, then show me your universal form, right? He's not saying that once you're beyond illusion, you realize that you are God, that you are the Brahman, that all form and all activity, all individuality, they were all illusion, and now that you're beyond illusion, you let go of them. Well, if Kṛṣṇa could show the universal form, then why can't Arjuna show the universal form now? Because he's merged into the oneness. He is that one Brahman. No. What he says is when he's beyond illusion, I'm prepared to act according to your instructions. I've realized my nature as your eternal servant, right? And there's nothing that's going to get between me and that loving devotional service anymore, right? That's the end of Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna's conversation, with Arjuna saying, I'm ready to serve you. Now we go back to Sanjaya. Sanjaya, what an interesting character. Listen to this. And this is a very interesting contrast here, because you have Sanjaya, who has this mystic potency to see this conversation, even though he's very far away from it. And he's speaking to Dhritarashtra, who's very much afraid that Arjuna is going to get right back on that chariot, pick up his bow, and start mowing down his sons on that battlefield. But Sanjaya is in such bliss that it's almost like he can't hold it back. Sanjaya said, thus I have heard the conversation of two great souls, Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna. And so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. He's got goosebumps. He's like, this is the most wonderful, incredible thing I've ever heard. What he's seen, he's just seen it show. He saw the universal form. He saw the love that supreme, right? The supreme Brahman, the Parabrahman, Kṛṣṇa himself, the Brahman, the Paramatma, the Bhagavan, the everything, the absolute truth in the most beautiful form, expressing his love to his devotee Arjuna, and clarifying all of the teachings of Vedas and simplifying them down to this simple formula: Sarva Dharma Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Right? His hair standing on end, he's got goosebumps. He's thrilled. By the mercy of Vyasa, I've heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Kṛṣṇa, who is speaking personally to Arjuna. O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Kṛṣṇa, that he saw the universal form, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. All of that, everything, the universe, all the energies of the Supreme are there in the beautiful form of Kṛṣṇa. And then the final verse, Yatra Yogeshvara Kṛṣṇo, Yatra Partho Dhanordharaha. Wherever there is Kṛṣṇa, the Yogeshvara, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power and morality. That is my opinion. We've done it, people. We've read the entire Bhagavad-gītā. I must share some thoughts that I have. I think in this month, we all took a vow, or so many of us took a vow, that we would read from it every day, complete it in a month, and it went one day over a month just because I needed more time to explain it. I think I spent altogether, if you talk about the studying and the speaking of it in this month, sometimes when I'm studying it, it's not even, it just goes in different places, and it becomes a fascination and an ecstasy just to look at it, the verses, look at all the commentaries. It's like nectar. It's beautiful and it's fascinating and so revealing, and that your faith grows and grows as you read it. I think I put in about 3 hours of study each day and about a half an hour of speaking. So altogether, I put in over 100 hours with the Bhagavad-gītā in this past month. And I feel so good. I just feel like my life has opened up in a new way just by spending that time with the Bhagavad-gītā. And I know I've been hearing from many of you that you feel like that by reading it every day. Reading this Bhagavad-gītā is the dearest friend. You know, sometimes, I don't know if I've shared this before, but there's this, in the Bhagavatam, we hear that Arjuna, when Kṛṣṇa leaves the earth, Arjuna is left behind. He's lost his power. There's been all kinds of inauspicious things and inauspicious omens. And he tells his brother Yudhishthira, but there's one thing that's sustaining me in his absence. Those instructions he gave to me on the battlefield. I keep thinking of them again and again. This Bhagavad-gītā, these words that Kṛṣṇa spoke to Arjuna on the battlefield, these can sustain us through any difficulty and trouble we have in life. Much tata sarvadurgani. By becoming conscious of him, sarvadurgani, all of the different troubles in life, mat prasada tarisyasi, by Kṛṣṇa's grace, one will cross over them all. Right? This conversation is special. This conversation is a condensed form of all the wisdom of Vedanta, and it's presented in such a beautiful, practical way that any of us can practice it in our own life. And it's presented in such a loving way that it's coming from Kṛṣṇa speaking the way that we haven't heard the other gods speak. Right? It's not do yajna unto me and I will reward you. No, I love you. When you think of me, I think of you. I'm speaking to you because you're so dear to me. Don't worry about all the other complications in life. Think of me and give your life to me, and that's all there is to it. Right? It's an incredible book. It is a most fascinating, powerful, eternal message of truth and love, the Bhagavad-gītā. I need to thank some people. I need to thank Chapuji, Gabriella. She put in time every day, taking the recording, editing it, adding all the different images, adding all the different verses. She put in many hours of work over the month just to try to serve all of you. I thank her very much for all of her service. I thank all the great teachers that I've had. I've been very fortunate that I was taken and given teachings by great souls and teachers of the Bhagavad-gītā over the years. Without it, I would not understand it at all. And I have to thank Srila Prabhupada, who gave us such a wonderful translation of the Bhagavad-gītā, and struggled and risked so much to come to the Western world to share this message. It's just around, if I point my finger right there, just about 100 yards away is the very room where he stayed all alone. It wasn't even an apartment. It was like a little tiny office building. He lived there as a 70-year-old man all alone, working on the Bhagavad-gītā. He had his original Bhagavad-gītā manuscript stolen from that room, and he wrote the introduction to the Bhagavad-gītā, which we didn't do, but one wonderful thing we can do in this next month, if you like, read Srila Prabhupada's introduction to the Bhagavad-gītā. It's so clear, such brilliant insights. He shared that just right over there. Meditated on that, shared that with the world. I thank Srila Prabhupada for bringing this message to us, and all of my gurus and all of the teachers in the Guru Parampara who've shared this knowledge as it is. And especially I want to thank all of you for spending this time over this month. Many of us took a vow at the beginning of the month. We'll read every day. I know many of you have done that. If you're a little behind, please don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up, but go ahead and complete it, And this Gita Collective, the way that I'm thinking that we'll do it is it'll be a every other month kind of thing. So that means in the month of October, we won't have an official study, but I hope to share some things on the channel with you, on the WhatsApp group, in order to just keep things fresh. And then we'll come back in November with some special angle of how to study daily the Gita again. But many of you, if you like to, you could just do this right over again. Many people have been saying that. I'm just going to do it again in October, and there's 31 days, so if it's perfect, and just read every day, and you can listen to the tapes as much as you want, or just read the verses if that's what you want to do, either way. There's something I do want to say is that we plan to move this from a WhatsApp group to a WhatsApp channel. And a WhatsApp channel is like a cleaner thing because it doesn't show every time someone joins or sometimes someone leaves. It's more suitable for this kind of thing. So very soon we're going to ask you all to move on over to the WhatsApp channel. You'll be hearing about that soon. I encourage you all to please come on over. Don't let this little bump separate us. Just move on over from the group to the channel and you'll get better service there. And if there's anything else I'm forgetting right now and I need to share, we'll be able to share it on the channel moving forward. Thank you all again. There's nothing like the feeling of carrying out a vow, carrying out a duty, carrying out some kind of purificatory process. We saw, what was it that Arjuna said to Kṛṣṇa in the 10th chapter? Param Brahma, Param Dharma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. You are Pavitram, Paramam. You are the supreme purifier, Kṛṣṇa. By bringing our minds to Kṛṣṇa, there's nothing more pure and purifying. And when we feel purified, we feel refreshed and satisfied. And the most practical and simple and pure and enlightening way to become purified, purify our mind, is to read the Bhagavad-gītā. Please continue to read the Bhagavad-gītā. Please read it with your friends, share it with your friends, and we'll stay together in this collective. Thank you all so very much. Hari Om Tat Sat.